At filmmaker Prakash Jha's Mumbai office, it's business as usual. His latest film Rajniti is under production, and there's little to suggest that Jha has spent the past 3 months in an altogether different role from that of director. In the 15th Lok Sabha elections, he's tried once again to become a representative of the people. At the heart of his political ambition is the fact that he's never managed to get his home state Bihar out of his system. Sometimes Bihar is his muse, providing him with stories to tell the world. At others, it's his pet project, one on which he has invested over a decade of his own money and time. And finally now, his reputation.
Prakash, it's good to have you on this show. I think the starting point of this conversation should be how far is it you travel when you go from Mumbai and your career in life as successful filmmaker to aspiring member of parliament in West Champaran, earlier known as Betia.
Well, it's a 2-hour flight, roughly a 2-hour flight to Patna, and it's on a good day, it's about 5 hours drive from Patna to Betia.
How much does the landscape, how much does what India is changes when you make that 7-hour journey?
Well, huge, because Champaran is in some kind of a time warp. Nothing has changed, honestly, including Betia, the district town. When I travel in the villages, and literally my vehicle moves at 10 to 15 kilometers an hour. I could probably run faster. The roads are non-existent. There is no electricity. The villages are like pathetic sight, no houses for the poor, discolored, disfigured, no roofs. Dirt, filth, grime filled everywhere. You see some schools have, the government building schools have come up, which you can realize, are the worst kind of constructions you can think of. And poverty, no improvement in the farming sector, no management of water. Half of my Champaran remains inundated with water, and the rest half doesn't get water as it needs. So it's quite a situation there. I feel that nothing really has improved, nothing really has changed in the last 60 years of our independence.
You have been, let's say, interested and involved in different ways at different levels in the politics of Bihar. Whether it is an activist, NGO, whether it is as a campaigner, whether it is in 2004 as an independent candidate trying to get into the Lok Sabha to represent West Champaran or Paschim Champaran, as you say. What is the motivation behind this kind of involvement or relationship? Because it is easy to say goodbye to that part of your life.
I wish it was easy for me, really, because see, I was born in a village close to Betia, about 6 kilometers. It's called Badhadwa. And I belong to a farmer's family, landlords. So right from my young age, I was 4 or 5 when I was studying in the village. I remember the incidents, I remember the way the society worked. I didn't understand much of it then. I was witnessing a huge kind of metamorphosis, you can say, when the Mandal Commission happened, when the open market economy came in, the potent dual kind of agents of change that happened, at the same time. And society has changed ever since, The entire rise of the OBC, the political power that it has gained, the Lalu Yadav, the Nitish Kumar, the Ramvilas Paswan, the Mulayam Singh Yadavs, and the whole lot of them, and the way the society had changed. And, at the same time, the open market economy has brought in the new kind of landlord. He is the contractor. The contractor has now become the landlord. It was during this time that polarization of religious fanaticism has taken place, the mandir and the masjid and all these issues also have cropped up. So this was like the most important period in Indian history, the 90s.
So you're saying that, to my question as to is this a purely intellectual decision or is it supported by a strong emotional motivation, you're saying that there is no choice. For you, there is no choice. It had to be like this?
No, for me, it's like if I don't do
Why aren't you one of the Biharis who left and didn't look back? Is my question to you.
But I have remained connected to Bihar all the time.
That's what? Why?
Through,
what is it? If it is so easy for people to not be connected, then what is the glue that keeps you connected?
It's Bihar. It's such a beautiful society. It's such beautiful people, and such a vibrant mind. So fertile. I mean, another fact that I'll give you that the maximum amount of literature, Hindi literature, that is published is consumed in Bihar. Whether it is newspaper, whether it is magazines, whether it is novels, whether it is books.
So there is great propensity to be informed. There is a great hunger and thirst for information, knowledge,
information,
and it's a very political state. Everybody is politically aware and inclined.
You're absolutely right. The biggest social change transformations that have happened in this country have originated in Bihar. Whether it is peasant movement, whether it is the student movement, or whether it is the movement brought about during the emergency or post-emergency or the Mandal movement, everything has originated. It's a very, very vibrant state. I think it deserves a lot more.
When you go back to Bihar, do people see the work you've done as, do they feel grateful that you have kept Bihar alive in the national consciousness, even if it is through mass culture? Or do they feel that your very visceral portraits of Bihar and the social system and the political system and life there tends to perpetuate the stereotype and the belief that Bihar is lawless and broken down and nothing changes?
It's not. Bihar's situation being portrayed in my movies the way it is it's not really to comment on the status of Bihar. It's basically to comment on the status of society as it goes through changes. There are people who appreciate it. There are people who also think that I am portraying Bihar in bad light. But all that is part of I don't give much meaning to it. I mean, as an artist, as a commentator, as a documenter of events, I need to do what I understand, and it takes me a long time to do a film, and I work a lot on my script and study and try and connect with people. What is more important, and which I realized post Gangajal, that unless and until I make a direct intervention in the social change in Bihar, I will not be fulfilling, or I will not be doing what I think I'm capable of doing. And I think the change that Biharis need to, Biharis must get involved, because Biharis don't get involved in Bihar,
no one
who else will?
That's true. Your political career, will it dilute your position as an artist? Because all politics is the art of compromise, isn't it? It is the art of pushing your agenda.
You're right. I know, and I probably am, I may be risking my position as an artist. And I will be trying very hard to be honest on as a filmmaker.
Because even while filmmakers and artists do have their own points of view and perspectives, the position you give to an artist is a little bit of on a pedestal, isn't it? Because you're expecting them to be the voice of truth, and politicians are not on a pedestal, and you're not expecting them to be the voice of truth.
No, I will try and tell you a few things which I mean, as a politician, as somebody who is trying, I mean, somebody may think that joining a political party like Ramvilas Paswan's party, which is being supported by Laluji's party,
you preempted me.
Which I was very critical about, in my work, films, and even outside, is something like a huge compromise on my, and I'll give that. I think, yes, I never thought that this kind of situation will happen.
In 2004, you said, and I'm quoting you, though you've already accepted that it's a difficult state to be in, and I'm quoting you, you said, he has a very popular mandate, he'll be historically remembered for bringing about some sense of social equality in an extremely caste-ridden society, but beyond that, he has created a society which is now in a vice-like grip of goons, people who belong to a particular caste. He manages his mandate not through his work, not through his vision, not through upliftment of the society. The word development does not exist in Bihar. And you go on. You have said similar uncharitable things about Ram Vilas Paswan, who now runs the party that has given you a ticket for the elections.
No, I don't think I have said uncharitable things about Ram Vilas Paswan, because he was never directly involved in terms of governance of the state. He has always been, right from the beginning, he's always been connected with the center.
Can I quote something you said? Going by their past performances, I am convinced that both Mr. Prasad and Mr. Paswan have no genuine interest in taking Bihar out of the morass.
This is not something which is very critical. I mean, who has? At this point of time, Nitish
so,
Kumar...
Prakash, are you saying today that as a person who is embarking or has embarked on a political career, as a politician...
I will answer your question.
Ends justify the means in this business, in this sphere of life?
You have to sometime, because you need to position yourself. Now, for me, the choice to position myself, you have to try and understand that, either was an independent candidate.
Which didn't work in 2004.
Which didn't work in 2004, which did not work even today, because parliamentary constituency is a huge constituency. You are representing 1.2, 1.3 million people. And what is more important? I mean, is it my own self which is more important, or is that position where I think if I am in that position, I can bring about the changes? Like, there are certain compromises you make. Mr. Ram Vilas Paswan, he has a party, relatively, kind of like, his own image has been clean, or whatever you say. But who in politics today, if you really look at the political parties, almost all of them have similar kind of track record. Personally, I will take the flag. I mean, sort of like, as joining Mr. Ram Vilas Paswan's party, which, people will say that, also has, MPs or people who do not have the right track record to be associated with, or Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav, who is endorsing now, they have a Gathbandhan. Now, to a certain extent, I think, that in politics, to be able to get a position, to be able to become an MP, which is more important for me, because that is what the constituency is looking forward to. People there are looking forward to that. Yes, if Prakash becomes an MP over here, maybe he can bring about certain changes.
So the ends justify the means.
So the ends, but yes, to a certain extent. I mean, but let's say when we are talking about, like, why didn't I have the option of, like, you asked the question, why didn't Nitish Kumar, why didn't I join JDU? Or
why didn't he give you a ticket?
Ask him. I mean, point is that I never joined JDU. I don't even know where JDU office is. I never have had any political condition, sort of like, compulsion to work with him, because he is in league with BJP. And BJP is a party somehow.
But when you campaigned with him, when
he was still with
BJP.
But at that point of time, the situation is completely different. The situation was that we wanted a change.
Prakash Jha, you're sounding like a politician.
Yes, I am a politician. Of course, I'll sound like a politician. I'm not a filmmaker talking to you over here just as a filmmaker. I am a politician. I need to have a position to be able to bring about that change, which I think I can, with my personal acumen, responsibility, experience. You need to be there. I mean, I can sit outside and I can keep on abusing, I can keep on calling names, I can keep on doing everything to the politicians, but unless and until you get into that murk, unless and until you get into that position, like I made it very clear to Ram Vilas Paswan ji, that should UPA not get a majority and not form a government, will you join the BJP government or the NDA government as you did the last time? And he said no. I said, if you do, I will resign if I win the seat.
You're saying that very categorically?
Absolutely categorically.
That's heartening to hear.
If tomorrow, because that is, there are things which I will not compromise on. And it is absolutely clear. Tomorrow, if that kind of situation, because he has had a reputation like that, you know, he did join. But he also resigned on the Gujarat issue. He was the only minister who resigned, you know, on the Gujarat issue. So that was like, you know, said, look, the day I realized that I can't go on, I resigned. And I said, tomorrow, will you join an NDA government? And he said, no. I said, that's very heartening. But if you do, if you change your mind, please understand that I will resign.
You don't think at that point, again, the question of what can I do?
No, I will go back to the people.
Okay.
I will go back to the people and I'll seek a re-election.
Is it surreal now? Because when I'm reading about you and listening to you talk, and I've seen your movies, and everything is merging. You know, there is a poster behind me where I'm sitting, and that looks like a film poster, but it's actually your image as you know, candidate seeking election. How are these things merging? Because it is seeming very surreal for someone on the outside.
You know, it is when as an artist you comment on the society. You know, it is like going to a restaurant or looking at the menu and ordering the food. But if there is a restaurant where you look at the menu and you don't only have to order the food, but you have to walk into the kitchen and make your own food and come back to the restaurant, serve your own food and eat, that's the kind of line you have to cross. Now, in my film Rajniti, which I am doing, you know, most of these experiences, most of these kind of like, you know, understanding of the society will get reflected. I will, you know, as I have always done, keep my own person away from my work, which is a fact, like whether it was Damul, whether it was Gangajal, or whether it was Mrityudan. It doesn't necessarily conform to my thinking. It is my understanding and understanding of the society and sharing the equation that I think I have probably sort of like, you know, makes sense to me. So how a democracy in this country works, which is the largest democracy of the world, or does it work, you know, is something which I am trying to understand through Rajniti.
Both on celluloid and on the streets.
So my streets, my real life politics and my real life politics are two different things.
Oh, come on! How can they be two different things?
Absolutely. You know, I sort of like, you know, when I am facing a situation personally, like, you know, in my whole life, I have never had a single police complaint against me in my whole life. Through this entire campaign or the last campaign, you know, I was very, very careful not to tread on the code of conduct. And yet,
you have a FIR lodged against you for 10 lakh rupees in your factory premises.
Factory premises raided by the SP and DM, who are now saying they were pressurized by the top, and all kinds of things are being said that, you know, Mr. Nitish Kumar's government, you know, didn't want my political career to begin, etc. I don't believe in all that. But this is the kind of thing which has happened to me.
What went wrong?
And it happened to me. You know, of all the people, you know, who probably may have done, like, I mean, I have been working for the last 5 years, investing several crores of rupees to run the hospitals, to take care of people, to start a factory, to take care of people in floods. And I'm caught with 10 lakhs of rupees, which I'm not even there. They go into a room, they take the money, and the FIR say that they had gupt sort of information, secret information, that this money was going to be distributed to, you know, for electoral gains. So these things happen. Now, this is not connected to my real self, or sort of like, you know, this is something which, like, it's like a movie. I said, God, I mean, this is happening to me. You know, but it's part of life, you know, and I have to face it, you know. I have to face the eyes of the people who say, okay, fine, guy, you are distributing money for buying votes, and you have to face it. This is what happens. And I mean, if I have taken the risk of taking a political position, I might as well face, you know, this sort of situation. And whether I am able to extricate myself, whether I am able to, you know, get out of this thing. Because it's eventually the end that, you know, you need to make a difference.
How much of this is ego? How much of this is about Prakash Jha and the fact that this is what he wants to do and so he has to do it?
But it's
And
not
how
the
much of
ego.
it is
I
about
mean,
the people really?
Your ego gets hurt every moment. You know, it's not the ego. It's basically, I think, you know, that क्या लेके आया था और क्या लेके जाएगा. You know, I think I have earned into as an artist, as a filmmaker. There is enough, you know, name. There is enough reputation. There is enough goodwill that I have been able to earn through my movies, through my work, through my social commitment, or whatever. In terms of wealth, I'm pretty well to do. I don't, you know, I don't lack anything. I mean, today I can do whatever I feel like. But is that enough? I mean, is that what you really mean? I mean, when somebody like Nitish Kumar, who I really pitched my hope, who I really thought was somebody who meant, you know, to do good to the society, when I see him playing the kind of politics he plays, dividing an already divided society, creating a Mahadalit sect, you know, amongst the Dalit, dividing the Muslim society like Pasand-Manda Musalmans. I've been so disillusioned, sometimes I feel that he's anti-industry, he's anti-investment, because nothing has happened in the past 40 months. I was dying to have a situation in Bihar where people, the laborers, you know, who live in such humiliating conditions and work outside Bihar, that, you know, we have industry in Bihar, we have a few things in Bihar that these people can go back. Nothing of that sort has happened.
And you didn't see this coming when you pinned your hopes on him.
I pinned my hopes on him.
So does that mean you're a naive person, or does it mean that in politics everybody becomes bad at some point, and that is what will happen to you as well?
I saw him, I continuously spoke to him, I said, look, sir, you have to start wealth generation processes. You have to start doing things. But he's more interested in his vote bank. He's more interested in dividing society and sort of creating a Mahadalit vote bank for himself. That is wrong. When you are a statesman, when you have a position where you can make a difference, you should not care about the chair. You may have to take decisions which are like, good for the state, good for creating a condition, but may not necessarily translate into votes.
What gives you the confidence that when you're in the thick of things, you will not have things that you're already making compromises by getting into
merely for
on a
getting
party.
Into the position.
No,
forget about that.
So
I have not made a compromise in my constituency.
It begins here, but once you get the position, how are you sure and how are you confident that you will not go down the route that every other politician takes and then says that's the nature of Indian politics?
My dear, I do not have political ambitions. I merely need a foot in the door to be able to bring about that difference in one constituency which can be replicated. I don't intend to be a politician for the whole of my rest of my life. Whether I become a minister, whether I become a prime minister, whether I become the president is not important for me. It is important because, I realize that in this system, you have to get into the system, and people do not. Everybody else, sensitive people, professionals, they don't get into the system because of the kind of things that I am going through. That they will have to compromise, that they will have to, be attacked. So you also have to appreciate the fact that I have taken that attack. I have taken the risk of being, humiliated to be able to get into that position. And you will see, time will prove that.
Time will prove that. We wish you all the very best in your endeavor. Come 16th, we shall know. And we wish you all the best in whichever route life takes you. But I'm pretty sure that you'll keep documenting life for everybody as it flows.
Thank you very much. I will continue to do the best that I can do, and to be sincere to my intentions, and the people of Bihar. I think they deserve a lot more attention from a lot more Biharis who can make a difference. Thank you.